Type 40 Live, early edition of the live stream Doctor Who magazine show, cold starting your week in Geek on Rumble, X, YouTube, and on Facebook, talking all things Doctor Who. From the way back then to the right here and the right now, it all happens in front of a live chat full of fellow friends, fans, and companions just like you. Yes, you. And whew, what an ordeal. What an ordeal the weekend was. We're back up from the surface, though cooling off. A welcoming back friends we've not caught up with in a little while to cool off here with us to face the facts and indeed the stats. The ratings have spooked the Whoniverse, but we're here for a big old catch-up to set things straight. Or straightish, maybe. We'll have to see as we get stuck into it. Don't go anywhere. It's Type 40 Live. Calm down. Calm down, Dan. Calm down. This is just the place to calm down and to cool off and to chill the boots or the plimsolls, isn't it? If you're the Fifth Doctor way back in the early 80s, this isn't. I don't know if I'd call it my happy place, but it's certainly my my mellow place. Am I ever mellow? I don't know. I'm Dan Hadley, Birmingham's King of the Geeks. Welcome back at the start of yet another week, motoring through this season of all new Doctor Who. And just when you think you've seen it all, we've got the pulse to take as ever. We've got some comments to bring in from you, whoever you are and wherever you're watching. So sit tight, and I'm sure we'll get to unearth some of your feelings as we get motoring through. So yeah, I thought it was important to try and take what they call a chill pill, and I don't know too much about which are the right sort of pills to take, which are the safe ones to take. So I need a sensible head. Charlotte, what would you advise? Are there any sensible pills?
It depends what you need them for. I'm sorry, Doctor Who fandom to be chill. I think if there's one word I would never apply to this fandom, it's that word.
We don't chill easily, do we? We do our level best here on this show.
We can be slightly quieter as a fandom. I think that's probably the sign of us being chill, if I was to word it.
I mean, chill is very much the starting place we're coming from on this show. I've no doubt things will get a little leery as time goes on, not least of all because we've got Luke Walters with us back on the show. I think he's had quite a busy day, but he's battling through anyway. And he's, heaven knows if he's still buzzing from Saturday. Let's find out. Luke.
I'm glad you didn't bring me in with the pill conversation. I'm so happy you didn't do that. That could have brought a whole passing from university, and oh Jesus Christ! Yeah, I'm good. Just leave it there. I had a fun time in university, put it that way. Hello everyone, and yeah, I haven't rewatched it yet. I accidentally rewatched Legend of Ruby Sunday and Empire of Death just to see if it's improved in my memory. And it has
how does one accidentally watch another 100 minutes of Doctor Who?
It was after the stream, actually. I was like, I'll have an early night now, and then I end up watching Legend of Ruby. I quite enjoyed Legend of Ruby Sunday, and then Empire of Death. I was like, what a load of shit. It's not as bad as I remember, because I think I was going in with lower expectations, and I was like, you know what, I enjoyed it for what it was then, because it wasn't in the cinema. I went to watch it in the cinema in Manchester. Thank God I didn't go to the same one as Russell. Jesus Christ.
You would have got in.
Yeah, I think he'd probably have had to have left by the back door, wouldn't he, to avoid being sort of pelted with popcorn and soggy bits of nice lolly wrapping paper and stuff.
I know a lot of people that went to that screening in Manchester. Him and Phil Collinson went together, and I was just like, that must have been like the most awkward situation ever. Because I know loads of people went up to him and were very gracious afterwards. But I was like, if I was there, I'll tell you so. I was just on the phone with my mate as well, who works down in South Wales film industry, and I'll tell you off stream about Russell. Jesus Christ.
I don't think you could always walk up to him, slap him on the back and say, better luck next time, pal.
I considering how he's been in interviews lately, I think he's not happy Russell right now, to put it
No,
lightly.
he needs one of these. He needs half an hour
does.
in here with his feet up. Maybe get a foot spar in. He's got big feet, isn't he? Just stretch him out a little bit. There's plenty of room there on the floor for the time being. Could that fit the average showrunner? I think we need to work out the dimensions and the stats for that. Fortunately, we have just a bloke who'll definitely, if he doesn't know the exact dimensions, he'll definitely have the stats. Welcome back to Type 40 Live, David Millen.
What a segue. What a segue. Can I just say hello, everybody? I'd have been there in Manchester with the biggest bag of Maltesers to throw at Russell
You and your
David.
Maltesers.
Absolutely. Take that. And I'd have chosen the least popular, or the ones that were around for a while, that were the dark chocolate versions as well, because they would have made more of a mess on his lovely suit.
You're a vicious man, David Milling.
I'm a vicious man, absolutely.
Remind me never to cross you.
Yeah, but I would, it might have been that severe. I might have actually thrown a bag of Revels at him, so that would have been even more sort of.
So basically, David, don't be around you when you're angry and chocolate is the key.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I have to be, because I like my chocolate, as you can probably tell. And if I'm actually throwing chocolate at somebody, it's a bit like other countries where they hit people with shoes. It's my
so turds and stuff. Yeah,
absolutely. I use chocolate to sustain me and as a weapon.
Well, if you've got him in the zero room, we could always these doors close pretty firmly. He could run, but he can't hide. That's the
definitely. And I'd make sure that I'd work out the statistics for a large lead box as well to put him in. Within that room as well, chained and padlocked several times over. Although he'd probably enjoy it.
It's probably best said about that the better. Things are starting to heat up already. I knew get more of a chill. Okay, I know the very person guaranteed to chill us all out for however long that she can make it. So she's been absent for a little while. We've all missed her. You've definitely missed her out there because people have asked me, where on earth is she? I mean, the truth is, I've no idea. No idea where she's been or what state she's in, as ever. But I can tell she is down here, sort of not under the desk. She's down here, waiting to be brought on. And that sounded really rough, which can only mean one thing. Shah is definitely back. Hi, Shah.
Shah,
this is what I've not been on.
I thought my segue was bad.
No,
I
Shah,
don't know where it
feel
comes
like
from.
you're home now? Does it feel familiar?
Welcome back.
Hi.
Hello.
It's been so long. Hello. Yeah, I know your segue was bad, David, but I always get the brunt of it. That's why I'm always last, because he's trying to think of something terrible.
Well, the thing is, I mean, the truth of the matter is, I mean, people do tell me I should probably write these things, but people can tell, because I have now and again I've sort of written one or two, and they never come out right. You can always tell I'm reading it, so I just vamp it. Yeah, and therefore anything can come out, and that's my excuse. And I'm sticking to it, as I told the arresting officer. How have you been, Shah? It has been ever such a long time, but this is the first time we've had you on this year.
Oh my God, it is. Wow. I mean, it feels like no time at all. No, when I was on the phone to you and I said, I think I'm actually really nervous. It feels like it's the first time again. But yeah, it's been a long time, but I'm very well. I'm very excited to speak to you all. Chat, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Even though it was like 2 hours on the phone with you, it still wasn't enough with everything we had to catch up with on. So very excited, very happy. Hi, Charlotte. It's been so long. And hello, Luke. Very long time no see.
Yeah, last time I saw you, I was incredibly hungover, which seems to be a running theme.
So was I. Yeah.
Same to me.
Only now I've noticed as well, not product placement, but my T-shirt matches my can. So it's all really awkward. So there's other energy drinks out there, honestly.
You're just a fashion icon.
Luke Walters on brand. I'm not surprised you need an energy drink. Anybody would be spent after the weekend. They were. Look at the state of them. Of course, that's the doctor and Belinda there, his latest companion, flat on her back, and he's just staring up at the ceiling. Do you think he's just remembered he's forgotten to change the batteries in the smoke alarm? Do you think that's what it is?
That have a smoke alarm?
No one really bothers with that, do they? And say, yeah, have you ever had a house or a smoke alarm go off and just go, oh, shut that thing up? Not oh, something might be actually quite wrong with the house next to me.
Of course, they're basking in
He's actually just spotted me with a bag of Maltesers. That's what's.
He said, "You're coming." You could be right. You could be right. They're actually both basking in the glow of an episode of Doctor Who, which was bloody well received, wasn't it? Everything was alight for the right reasons in the fandom over the weekend. The Whoniverse was buzzing for the first time. Now, I know there's one or two people who didn't enjoy this, but for the most part, this episode, the world went down very, very well. And so it was a pleasure as somebody who sort of monitors this stuff and runs a community and things like that over on social medias to see, generally speaking, people saying nice things and kind of buzzing with enthusiasm. But this is 3 episodes in, and I'm very aware, Shara, I haven't spoken to you certainly on the air about this year, and David had not spoken to you for a couple of weeks. No. Here we are, we're heading up towards the halfway part. How are you finding it so far? Because I was under the impression, Shar, that you were all out for a while. You weren't going to watch it at all, but you have been watching, haven't you?
I'm such a fickle Doctor Who fan. I was completely out and had no intention of watching it, and I didn't. I think I messaged you guys actually, didn't I, and said I was just really bored and it was on. I didn't know it was even dropping in the daytime. That's how out of the loop I was. I had no idea. And then I think, what was it that I watched? Must have been the very first one. I can't even remember that now.
Robot Revolution, was it?
That was it, yeah. How could I forget? And then I was like, this is better. I'm sorry, Dan, I don't want to, trample all over your one of your most liked ones in terms of series openers, but thought it's just miles ahead of Space Babies and didn't think it was actually that bad. Then watched Lux and thought that was fun, had its issues, and now I'm like I say, I'm fickle and I am absolutely back. So with the latest installment, I'll probably change my mind all over again by next week. But I'm very much back in, and very glad to be as well.
Had you heard, being as you say out of the loop, were you aware of the ties of that episode to a previous story from all those years ago? Or were you completely oblivious to that, and it was a total surprise when you watched it?
Oh, my bloody brother. He is the one who told me. He's not even that much of a Doctor Who fan. And he was like, oh, did you know this is going to be a sequel to Midnight? So that was that. I don't know how he found out either, to be quite honest. But it didn't spoil it for me, actually, at all. It was still, because being Doctor Who fans, when it was they were talking about an extonic star and the radiation, I was like, I think we could have pieced it together anyway, but just having that confirmation that it was actually Midnight was pretty sick, wasn't it? I loved it. I thought it was amazing.
She's smiling as well. We were mostly smiles when we did the instant reaction show on Saturday, weren't we, Luke? Generally speaking, even those of us who, and with the exception of one, who is, I think it's against his brand. It's against his brand to not be grumpy and displeased. But everybody else was, at the very least, a critical friend and quite pragmatic about it all, Luke. And it was refreshing to be part of that conversation, wasn't it? And to see, even in the live chat here, just a wave of relief and optimism.
Yeah, it was nice for a change. And now I'm going to be negative because someone brought it up that they wouldn't. And we've talking about, I watched Legend of Ruby Sunday. I watched it in the cinema as well. And the worst thing about it was they shut the bar at 12 o'clock and they run late as well. So the episode so by the time everyone already watched it, I was about 15 minutes behind. That's Manchester for you. But yeah, no, it was good. I really enjoyed it. Really, really enjoyed it. I still haven't watched it back. I've watched Legend of Ruby Sunday instead. I don't know why. I really don't.
What for?
I mean, I like that episode. It's a solid episode, to be fair. Is the second part
it's great as well.
The second part lets it down. I've been meaning to watch Spearhead from Space for the longest time, and I ended up watching Unquiet Dead or something very random.
Space Babies,
I've watched that one.
Everyone's got a line, Dan. Yeah.
Listen, it was quite the episode. It was pretty full on and quite intense for 45 minutes. Things got very, very dark in places. Is that the kind of flavour of Doctor Who that you like, David, or do you like things that are a little less relentlessly grim? I mean, where was it wise that it got as dark as it did?
Oh, absolutely. I love grim, horrible, desperate stuff. No, seriously, though. it was simple, so I liked it. It didn't require me to think a lot, and I like that. I like to be taken. I like to watch stuff that entertains me. I like to be taken out of reality and be plunged into what show I'm watching. Hence why I love Death in Paradise, as Charlotte does as well,
Yeah.
because it is formulaic. It's simple. It's very clever. You don't have to think a lot about it, and it's very entertaining. And there weren't with this episode, there wasn't a lot of throwing a load of shit at me and seeing what stuck. It, as Charlotte said quite rightly on Saturday, because it was so simple and simplistic, it had a beginning, middle, and end. It allowed the characters to breathe. It allowed you to be taken along, to feel scared, to be totally taken in by what you were watching. It wasn't fantastical. It wasn't loads of bloody bloob 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 effects going on. It was just simply good storytelling.
The stakes were measurable, and the story was simple but compelling and had layers. I mean, I've spoken to people who felt that it didn't go far enough, that why all these bodies were flying around and there was no blood and guts around. But Doctor Who can never be that show. That's falling into the trap of wanting Doctor Who to be something that's not in its gift.
Trust me, it's not a pleasant sight should you ever have to see it. So
I think they said that, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah, and it was done in a beautiful, artistic, simple way that was captivating. I didn't look at my watch once. I didn't press OK on the remote to see how long that was left in the episode at all. It was. I then realised the episode length was 48 minutes at the end, and I wanted it to be longer because it was such a good story. And I said to Luke privately, if I may, that I was very, very frustrated at the end. Pleased, but frustrated that, my God, why has it taken them this long to get the basics right? And if you get the basics right in anything in life, if you get the simple things right, the more complicated things take care of themselves. And that's what I want. More basic Doctor Who. You can't always have it as gripping and thrilling as that. But if you do concentrate on the basics, then that's how a show can last 62 years. It's simple, really. So I loved it.
Have things turned around, Charlotte? What do you think?
No, I think what was so nice for me was seeing people like Char, sort of, who have been completely not excited, not watching it every week, thinking, oh, I'm going to, like, knowing they're going to watch it. Sort of people who have hardly watched Shooty's era actually watched that episode on Saturday after they heard the good word about it and the good sort of reviews it was getting. And just to see them go, do you know what? I actually really enjoyed that. Like, that was so much of enjoyment for me. Like, on the Sunday when, like, I got some messages off folk. And it just shows that all we want as a fan base is just a good story. Even those who have felt very pushed out, rightfully so, the people who have felt like this show was no longer for them, and that Russell was trying his best to tell them to not be a fan anymore, even they could come back and at least just one, even if it's just one, and go, do you know what, that was a good time. And that was, for me, the highlight, even though I enjoyed the episode, and it was such, we've all said this, to sit there and be engrossed again.
The people who've reached out, certainly to us through our social medias and over in the Facebook group, are all largely of the same mind, Charlotte, to say that you can't please everybody. You can't please anybody some of the time, never mind all of the time. But generally speaking, people enjoy themselves. And I think, ideally we should be feeling that way every week. But I think we should take the W while we can. We're joined by lots of regular names and faces in the live chat, including Lord Thoth there. It's great to see him. We've got Tom from T-Dwarf Productions, who's busy
Hi, Tom.
beavering away there on more fantastic creations. And certainly he's going to probably post them on some of our social medias as well, I would say. And we've got Anthony Parkinson too, Stephen Braddock as well, and Mark's here too. David Mullen, who he's got a nail in his rear tire. Never mind, David. We can't fix that for you, but we may be able to fix a smile on your face for the next couple of hours. Who knows? The Zero Room has joined us in the live chat as well, which is very, very apt considering where we started off. And who else? Yeah, lots more people rolling in, including Oti, who's still not feeling great. He says, I'll sum it up in 3 words. It's dead, Jim. That's the wrong franchise, pal. Wrong franchise, but we get where you're coming from. We get where you're coming from. And the Zero Rooms just adds Fruity Gatwa. Fruity Gatwa. Is that some new limited edition of sort of fruit pastels they've renamed in his honor? Do you think that's what it is?
That's like a lovely cake.
Is that what being an influencer gets you, do you think, Shah? Sweets named
after
you.
How should I know? Well, speaking, if you guys are talking about chocolates and sweets and whatnot.
Usually, and the weather, and hats.
At the cinema.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm usually nip to Tesco's and bring my own. But don't tell anyone. I guess.
Sorry, I'm working. By the way, sorry. I don't mean to seem like I'm just.
How rude!
I'm working. Sorry.
Don't spoil the magic.
Sorry.
He's intently listening to every word.
Like he was. I was going to say you looked so into what I was saying, but I've got myself, chocolate. So I don't even know why.
I'm going to distract. I'm definitely going to distract Luke some more with this. I mean, yeah, you could say that the BBC and Bad Wolf and Disney have let the side down a little bit with the publicity this year. A lot of people have said that. But I don't know. I mean, things might not be that bad after all. I mean, do you remember how last year there was the subway here? Decorated with Doctor Who livery, the cosmic joyride that awaits. This was the New York subway. Heaven knows the kind of footfall that was in and around this, wherever it went, all across Times Square, Grand Central in Manhattan there. Just a fabulous sort of wraparound piece of artwork that continued inside as well. I'd never seen anything quite like this attached to Doctor Who, and I was kind of really proud of the show. This was obviously before the episodes aired. I was really proud that the show had managed that. This year, there was an installation at Disneyland, but we've not really seen anything else. And I thought, well, maybe nobody's bothered. But it turns out they have, everybody. It turns out they have. This picture's done the rounds in the last few days. So there's this on a bus. This is a bus.
Oh, wow.
A wraparound of a double-decker bus. It's not quite. Epic. It's not quite New York Underground. This is in West Brom. Just up the road from me, West Brom in the West Midlands. So you could say that expectations have been lowered a little, but it's looking pretty good. But yeah, this does seem to be the limit. I don't know if it just travels around West Brom or whether they're taking out to the greater West Midlands area. I haven't spotted it yet myself. But I do know a couple of fellows who work on the buses, so I'll see if they've had a chance to take her out. Has anybody seen this or a duplicate, maybe a brother or sister of this particular vehicle out and about?
Well, it's not reached England yet.
I'm not in a city, so I think I'm not a good gauge.
No, they're still advertising undertakers in Lincoln on my buses.
Undertakers, God, that's
funeral
very
Leicestershire. Yeah, Leicestershire has nothing to say for itself, does it really? So we're all still upset about the football, to be quite honest. We don't want to talk to anyone about the football.
No, not in Lincoln either, Shah.
Don't
Leicester City. Oh, yeah, well, yeah, I've been watching you guys. That's not been amazing, is it, either? But you should not get relegated like us, but never mind, that's a different chat. Different chat.
I mean,
we can't possibly cover sport as well.
Cardiff got relegated as well, so let's not talk about football, okay? Let's just leave it there. I'm fed up with football. It's my life. Why is this? When this render is taking 5 hours, I'm going to die. Oh.
Sorry.
Well, we can console you with this. I mean, would this stop you in your tracks if you were riding your bike or walking or running or something like that? If you saw this drive past you, you go, oh, jaw dropper.
Yeah,
that's phenomenal.
Even if you were,
I love the guy who's waving.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Is he waving or is he saying, "Don't take a photo of me on this bus"?
Yeah, either or. Sorry, Charlotte. Go on.
I should say, even if you're not a fan, that's actually, like we've all said, it's actually striking to look at. So you probably would stop.
It's very pretty.
They could take it to New York, I suppose, but they'd need to pop it on a boat, wouldn't they?
We could just go through that portal.
I reckon it's just Dan's bus. It's just Dan. Dan is now the marketing, the doctor. That's all he's doing. He's bought a bus. It's the Type 40 bus. There's only one of them.
Tootling around. Yeah. It could work. It could work. But yeah, it did make me chuckle because, in all sincerity, I had wondered about the publicity this season. I've seen next to nothing. So the idea that this is tootling around, not that far from me, it did amuse me. So if you've seen one of these, if there are more of them around, then please let us know by all means, because I'd like to think, I don't know, that better late than never. I don't know. Maybe they're gearing up for a second launch. Who knows? The Zero Room says that the logo is so small, I wouldn't know what they're advertising. I think that logo is so identifiable.
How could you not know? It's pretty much there. It's pink against black. Yeah,
I think that would be larger than you think. I think that would be larger than you think riding past you. And you'd likely, if it was going past you, Charlotte, you'd read the tagline first and then you'd see the logo. Because it'd be in motion.
And if nothing else, there's a big TARDIS there. So I think that would be your clue.
Good point. Oh, Gary Akers is in the live chat here, Type 40 panelist, and has spotted that is Ian David Diaz on the top of the bus waving. So that would explain. What it doesn't explain is why he was in West Brom and didn't call in to see me.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna have words, pal. We're gonna have words. Oh dear, we take it all so seriously. We take it all so seriously, don't we? Almost as seriously as them. Almost, but not quite. Yeah, talking about taking things a little too seriously. I mean, if there's something that has frustrated people in the last couple of days, it seems to have been this. So people are getting a little shirty about the TARDIS and its wardrobe function, its wardrobe room. Now, in a couple of episodes, there was first of all last year the Devil's Cord, and now in I think we saw it in. Did we see it in both Lux and The Well? It appears that they're using these sequences of the Doctor and Belinda sort of going in one hatchway on the TARDIS into one door and then coming out of the other one wearing a completely different change of clothes, just in the same way that Mr. Ben would when he went behind the curtain, David, and he'd come out and he'd be dressed as Sir Lancelot or whatever, and it'd been a split second. So people are getting a bit shirty about this because the implication, they feel, is that the TARDIS is magically altering what they're wearing, is putting them in the new clothes or the clothes on them. And it's how this sort of ruins...
It's such a big bag of bollocks, isn't it? I tell you, I love Mr. Ben. I love Ray Brooks, who did the voiceovers to them. My daughter, who's 19 now, used to love watching Mr. Ben as well. And for me, I just love the way they used to run like that and really poor animated.
It's a fabulous show. Yes, Doctor Who isn't Mr. Ben.
It's a lovely show.
It is a fun show. It is a family show. It is a lovely kind of warm show. It should start always from a safe place.
It is, but the whole point about the TARDIS wardrobe is that we know it's there, and we've these quick changes make it feel like something out of a cartoon, and I don't like them. If they say, okay, right, we need to get changed, right, cut to the cut, they walk in the room, cut them walking out, not doing a silly little dance afterwards, not bing, the shopkeeper appears, not in that style. For me, we need to get changed, brilliant, right, cut, bang, done. Don't spend so long about, isn't the TARDIS magical? Isn't the TARDIS fantastical? It may be down to a lot of theories that people have had about the fact that they are somehow being manipulated. They are somehow living a life in fantasy, and there's that whole sort of magic element to it that a lot of people have speculated about. But just don't show it. Just not. If you're going to show it once. Don't keep repeating the same thing over and over again, please.
I think that people are taking it a little too seriously. I don't think that that's what they're saying at all. I believe that the reason they're setting it to music, for me, what it reminds me of, David, and I would imagine that any 80s kid would know what I mean, and a lot of people, like some of you younger ones who've maybe seen these movies, to me it reminds me of 80s movies like Mannequin and Teen Wolf and all those movies. So for me, the TARDIS isn't changing their clothes at all. It's just that they're shortening the distance. It's just to sort of in one door, out the other. There could be 10, 15 minutes. There could be half an hour, 45 minutes, knowing Shooter Gatwa whilst he's choosing what he's wearing. But all that would make for boring TV. They're just setting it to music and giving it a bit of bounce, just to give the show a bit of attitude and a bit of fun. And I think it's purely in line with those kind of family movies from the 1980s and the 1990s. It's an editorial thing. They're not literally saying that the TARDIS has done that and then like they've literally gone one in through one door and then been bundled out of the other with their clothes changed for them. But a lot of people seem to believe that's what's happening, Charlotte.
Yeah, they do, yeah.
I think the problem is because in other areas, the show right now is sort of cutting corners when it comes to story elements and stuff that really should have more time. People are sort of applying that logic to everything. And I'm like you, we know there's a massive wardrobe in the TARDIS. We've seen it. So it's very clearly just they're getting changed, but they've only got 45 to 49 minutes, whatever the runtime is. So yeah, if I was the production team, I probably would go, what do I want to sacrifice? Scenes of them getting changed or potentially scenes to go with plot and actual story?
I mean, it's one thing, Charlotte, to have a scene when a new doctor comes along and chooses what he's going to wear. You know, that's one thing to spend a little time doing that. But even then, we don't need to see that for too long. So in a case like this, where we just want to see them go off and discover and be adventurous. That's why we're there, not to see people sort of change their clothes. I mean, do we want to see them pop to the bog as well? You know, where are we going to let it fly?
Yeah, and we've sort of said this. The show's suffering enough with this time limit. Let's not give them more stuff to try and shove into this because they're struggling as it is.
I'm a little more concerned with something that Luke spotted in the same scene, which completely passed me by. And to me,
it's not under the script, is it?
This is a legitimate, I wouldn't say worry, but it is yet more evidence of a inconsistency with an editorial position from Russell T Davies. The book has to stop with him, and it's this moment, isn't it, Luke? So, what did you spot, and what rang your alarm bell here, mate?
Ooh.
Well, Russell originally changed the Sonic to the click remote. So he doesn't want he doesn't want the Sonic to be as it is anymore because he doesn't want it to appear like guns to kids. And then 2 minutes later, you got Shooty going, mother. He's making gun signs, and it's like, well, if there's definitely more to it than a Sonic doesn't look like a gun. It doesn't.
No.
And now you got your lead actor making gun signs, which is I thought is a bit inappropriate, really, isn't it? If they,
I agree. I never even noticed that.
Yeah,
that's a good spot.
Yeah, unfortunately. But I thought that was a bit inappropriate, shall we say? If you're gonna go away from guns, then go away from guns. Sorry, Charlotte.
I was gonna say, it's like your point on Saturday was good, like which I think in this whole sort of area was a good sort of spot. How did the TARDIS know to give them the exact same costumes as the troopers? Like, for
Everyone's
me,
been saying that.
that's what I mean. Russell is being lazy. I'm sorry, that's the word for it. Because things have to happen in the script or things have to happen for the plot, he's just going, oh, it'll just happen. Magic. Like, that's what I mean. I think because there is some of that right now, honestly, happening at times.
Yeah.
I can understand how
this is a stretch too far. It's one thing to have in a wardrobe. I mean, going back to that point about the wardrobe, it's one thing to say, oh, I've got clothes there which would suit any period in history on any planet. But but quite often, when the Doctor and the companions do go and get changed, things are still not quite right. So it's the nearest that he's got in stock that match, and there's still that sort of disconnect whereby they look like they don't belong. They just don't quite belong. And here, obviously, it was bang on. So either the wardrobe has been expanded in the same way that the console room has, or it's very, very convenient. But I do think the guns, this is the kind of thing they ought to watch out for. It's one thing letting the actor improvise and go with it, but it still has to be in character. The Doctor is still a character, Shooty. He does seem to struggle to find it or to even know what the character's meant to represent or what he would do. And yeah, this was a point that Russell did labour this point several times, that the Sonic, had started to look and function like a gun. And to be fair, a lot of incarnations have sort of waved it and pointed it in that kind of manner as the new series continued, didn't they? I mean, from beginnings as a sort of humble tool that we saw in the very first episode, it was used as an instrument at best.
Well,
but I can see what he was saying, but this is just taking it too far, in my opinion. And to put these double standards up on screen is baffling.
The thing is, a screwdriver is long and thin, and that's what it's meant to be. So it's not a gun is not long and thin. A gun is something that you can grip. Okay, generally, unless you're in James Bond and it's an umbrella or something like that, So it's stupid like that. So for him to say, "Oh my goodness me, it looks like no, it doesn't. It looks a bit like a vape, okay, or a screwdriver or a gas lighter thing, I've got the props. All right, so it doesn't look like a gun. So for him to then come out going pew pew pew, it's just terrible. And for me, Charlotte and everybody else that has said it is right, and Luke, but for saying it's just lazy writing. And for me, this episode jars terribly between what Russell has written and I've forgotten her name, and I'm so sorry. And
Sharma
I'm not being
Angel
disrespectful.
Warful.
Sharma. Okay, so it's what Sharma has written and what Russell has written. It's like it's like night and day difference between them, but without a pleasant transition between them. For me, it jars between Russell's lazy material and Sharma's brilliant material, and it's just such a shame. I might be an old fuddy duddy, but I don't really care. I don't really care that I am. But I didn't like those movies. I did like Mannequin that you referred to, but I just think it's. I'm sorry. I just think it's a bit tiresome, the costume change seems. I really do, especially when it's set to Britney Spears.
Yeah.
I love Britney Spears.
I love it.
So do I. I
love
love Britney Spears. I love Doctor Who. But never the twain should meet. Okay.
20 seconds, 40 seconds, it's a minute, it's a bit of fun, it's just a costume change.
I
It's
jammed with it.
I'm sorry.
I did. I was like that. I was there like I loved it.
No, if it was to Pow, I would have been there. But,
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you with the gun things. I'm with you with the gun fingers. I'm totally with what you said about that. I think it's just a bit. It's the hypocrisy of it, isn't it? It's just like, I need to change this from a gun and then pow 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 pow. If that wasn't a thing, if RTD hadn't done that, then pow pow would be really funny and I'd have loved it. But it's a good spot though. I didn't notice it myself. But yeah, the costume changes, do it every week. I love it. I think it's a bit of fun. It takes up no time. It doesn't do anything for this to add to the story, in my opinion. Every horror film, when have you seen it where it goes straight into the horror stuff or the scary stuff? You have a little bit of fun beforehand, and then you're like, oh, actually, shit, we're in a bad situation. It was a good contrast. That's what set up the scariness, in my opinion, was that we had a bit of a fun moment, and then we were like, oh, actually, shit, we're in a bit of trouble here.
Like,
I loved it all.
Here you go, bodies and whole music actually good from Murray Gold for once.
Well,
garbage reminds us that the classic Toxic track there from 2003, was it? By Britney Spears. Was written by Kathy Dennis.
I love Kathy Dennis.
Love Kathy Dennis. She's still around, isn't she? She still writes, and I think she records now and again as well.
Cool.
Exactly, Shah. It's a bit of fun, says Stephen Braddock.
I loved it.
Says
Also,
if
if you think of it, the planet is toxic. It's full of radiation. The planet is toxic. The song does actually link towards the episode. If you think about it, it does link. It is there. Most people say, "Oh, it's not fun. There's nothing to do with the episode." They're going onto a planet full of radiation. Radiation is toxic. It's linked. As much as you don't like it, you're wrong. So.
Yeah,
I completely agree.
I'd say with all due respect, I honestly.
I jammed it.
I don't have a problem with you.
Can we just have a show of hands before we move on? Who here has heard of T'Pau?
Oh, sorry.
Spot the millennial.
On that bombshell, a reminder that The Well is still streaming on BBC iPlayer and Disney Plus. The series continues obviously this weekend, and here at Type 40 we will be all over it with even more. If you're not sick of us already, you will be by the time it all ends. A catch up on previous editions of the show, click to subscribe and turn on notifications, hit that cloister bell for more live streams. So yes, last week we correctly predicted along with just about everybody in the Western world that midnight would indeed be the inspiration for this episode that we're getting on Saturday. So we reviewed Midnight because a lot of us hadn't been back to it in a while. We went and looked at that episode again and tried to work out what they would pick up and take through to any possible sequel if it did arrive. And of course it did arrive. So we got together, several of us that are here tonight, along with a few friends from across YouTube and podcasting. So the Rabbi was on, the Great Bowls Trek was on, and we went into it with a live instant review, taking in all opinions, so you can still get those, of course, in the playlists. So go and load up with all of that and follow us on social media to keep track of what we're doing next and where, such as the Type 40 podcast, available across all major podcatchers as always, and at our home feed at type40.podbean.com. But this is Type 40 live on Rumble, X, YouTube, and Facebook. The console room is packed. We're making sense, sort of. Depends how many you've had, doesn't it? But off we go to the next topic. But you keep the comments coming. That's your end of the deal. And we'll bring even more nonsense after this.
This is Lord President Rassilon. Due to the interference of that idiot renegade, the Doctor, the universe is collapsing. Unfortunately, the Time Lords have no answer for this, and I am forced to call upon the services of Type 40 Podcast.
So, yes. Hello. Thank you, Lord President. We'll try and behave ourselves. So all of this talk of the pantheon of gods, have you been keeping track of that? Gods popping up absolutely everywhere. It's all well and good, but what I want to know is, what about the everyday people? As a dad myself, I'm keen to acknowledge the forgotten pantheon of dads in
Oh God, we're doing this, are we?
Some of them are more memorable than others. They don't get the fuss, I feel, David, that the mums do, you see. There's not so much said about fatherhood, full stop, come to think. The Doctor, he was a dad himself, to be fair, for about 45 minutes.
Granddad.
It didn't go so well. Didn't go so well for him, did it? But
well, he married her, so quite well.
I think it went very well, yeah.
I think it went a bit incestuous, really, didn't it?
I'm talking in universe and clean and family friendly. But yes, but with companions in the modern day who come from 21st century Earth, especially if they're conceived by Russell T Davies, we've become accustomed to meeting their families to one degree or another. So it shouldn't really come as much of a surprise to learn that Belinda's family will be appearing on screen. Specifically, her dad, Harry Chandra, who's been confirmed he would be played by Archie Lau. This is Archie Lau, a British actor who's been in Hollyoaks, River City, Waterloo Road, Coronation Street, all those kind of shows. Lots of parts right across the gamut of comedy and drama, serial drama and crime shows, all that kind of thing, as well as Paddy Considine's film Tyrannosaurus from about 10 years ago. So this is very much a jobbing actor and a kind of face where you think you might have seen him in various places. But this is the character that they talked about in the episode just gone, wasn't it? Belinda mentioned him as being the kind of dad who gets up at family gatherings or social gatherings, sure, and might sort of grab the mic and give it a bit of karaoke or grab a hairbrush or a pint pot and belt out, well, maybe Toxic by Britney Spears. I don't know. So had you heard about this? Are you surprised that Russell's going here again with the family of the companion? And what do you think? Have you ever seen this actor anywhere?
I haven't. I just don't watch a lot of soaps or television, really, which is hilarious because I'm talking about a TV show, I know. But I just, I'm not. I know a
massive
lot of people,
contradictions.
I know, yeah. Well, I'm more. I know there's a lot of people out there that don't like the domestic side of Doctor Who, and I do understand it. It doesn't really bother me that much. I don't think it, in the past, I say the past 3 families, it doesn't really add a lot. I liked Ruby Sunday's one. I liked that she was adopted.
I loved her now.
Like that story.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Oh yeah. Can't get a cup
Phenomenal.
of tea for love nor money. I feel that in my heart. So I love Cherry Sunday. She's brilliant. So I don't mind this. And he's very good at world building, and he's good at that kind of thing. So I'm fine with that. But no, I don't.
Belinda's mentioned him a couple of times. It's just nice to tease those characters. And for me, this is fine if it's in moderation. I think if they go back there all the time, then it kind of, again, it sort of breaks that toy as well, Charlotte. Do you know what I mean? I think this is all, if it serves the drama, informs the character, I've never seen the problem, and I've certainly never equated this sort of stuff with soap opera. I think that's such a lazy diagnosis.
But here's the thing, actually, Russell usually tends to focus in on mums. That tends to be his wheelhouse. So it could actually be a nice change for him to focus on the dad for a change. And I mean, he did it with Rose's dad, but that was more like a plot sort of centric thing of him being dead and her bringing him to life again and that whole fallout. It wasn't so much, we didn't learn a lot about Pete beyond just a little bit because of Father's Day. So if we can actually have a father-daughter like on-screen proper relationship, that could actually be quite interesting if it's written well, is always the sort of thing we have to put out nowadays.
Yeah.
Because if you look at pretty much, Rory's dad got a little bit, but that was literally in 1 episode, I feel like, or maybe 2 at most.
I love Rory's dad.
Martha's dad was just there to sort of be a bit of a joke, to be honest. And what did we learn about Yaz's dad? So that's what I mean. I think it could be interesting because I don't think we've tapped a lot of dad stuff.
No, we haven't. And as a dad, and one who tries to be as good a dad as I can be, but have made unbelievable mistakes and howlers, and how my children have survived, I will not know. I know, but I think it's about time we saw a dad positively portrayed, because I think we have seen dads used quite negatively since the series return. Obviously, Pete Tyler being the odd one out, and Rory's dad being a bit useless but wonderful, like most dads are, but in his own way. But I think it's about time that the dads were shown in a really positive way that the mums have been, because I think it's an easy trope to use just to bash the dads all the time. But I am really looking forward to seeing Belinda's family. I do like it that they have that in the new since 2005 they have shown us families, because if you're whisked away from your home and then taken to places, and you disappear off the face of the earth for a period of time, somebody is going to miss you. You would hope, unless
that's what I always felt when David. During my childhood, growing up watching the classic show, in the back of my head, I always wondered, and just like Russell T Davies has said, I was very much in line with him. I always wondered about the family that was left behind. Perry's mum, for example. What must she have thought had gone on? Little characters like that. And now and again, the classic series did do it now and again with mixed results. That things didn't end too well for Nissa's dad.
No. No.
It didn't work out too well for that lad either. Or
he turned
Victoria's
into Anthony
dad.
Ainley.
Yeah, it didn't go too well for them. But generally speaking, I think the classic show used it as a sort of story device at best, because there wasn't an ongoing element in the same way. Different times, different modes of drama, different evolved audiences, I suppose, that were used to different things. It's all absolutely fine. But I just like the idea that we'll find out more about this character, even in the limited episodes of Belinda that we have left, to see more of her life and what she wants to get back to. Who is missing her? I think that's the way that modern drama should be. We should be aware of where they come from and where they're going, or in this case, where they want to get back to. And whilst this actor is is a familiar face, I can't say, oh, it's that guy from this and he was brilliant in that. I don't know. But again, this is a new, maybe recurring cast member for all we know. So I do think it was interesting, and I haven't really seen this talked about so much yet. He may be in it for 5 minutes. He may disappear after that, but he may recur. We never know with these characters, do we, Luke? They bobble around sometimes, and some of them are simply more memorable than others. But what David said about dads, I do feel it is something that does need sort of redressing. It's not a priority, no, but I think we're all aware that men get the thin of the end of the edge when it comes to this kind of characterization, and dads aren't just sort of useless people who sit on the sofa and fart. Well, apart from me.
I'm really glad you said that, actually. Yeah, I'm really glad you said that, because there seems to have been a theme I'd say maybe since Moffat started, where there was a little bit of man bashing going on, and I wasn't a massive fan of that. It just seemed that, like you said, it was a stereotypical, let's have a go at blokes. And I think it was even when Rassilon regenerated into a woman, so, oh, how do you cope with all that ego? I was like, oh, shut up. Like, you do not have to tear down a man to bring up anyone else. Like, I've always said that, don't tear down men to bring up women. That's not how it works. So I would like to see this character treated in a respectful way. If it's going to happen at all, then that would be lovely. That's the only thing I'm going to get on my soapbox about. So
Fly Highland says, Sonny Waffles says, we know more about her parents than we do about her. Belinda, how do you work that out, Sonny Waffles?
Yeah,
we've been travelling with her for 3 weeks.
Of her.
Sean?
Well, and I was going to say, and for me, and I can talk because I'm a bit of like a dad's girl, like at home. That's just the running joke with me at home. And I'm getting the vibe of Belinda that she really is close to her dad. And that's lovely to see on screen, because I feel like that's not shown enough. That usually the way it's written is, it's usually the son that's shown to have the close relationship with the father. So we can have the daughter be shown to have that really close relationship. That also is sort of breaking what Shah was talking about, how blokes have been written by sort of in a more broad sense to be very one note, and the more we can explore different relationships and different things on screen, I think Russell, if he does this right, this could actually be a really good thing for the series. Now
you've said this, both of you, I'm looking at these characters and I see, Yaz's dad is a character that wasn't on screen for very long, and it was a nice enough performance, but he was presented very much as somebody who was subservient to all of these women in his life, and whilst it was done out of love, and in all seriousness, I won't say many positive things about the Whittaker era. It was a dynamic that I think a lot of people will have recognised, but of course, when you do a Google search for one character and the only pictures you can find of them are wearing an apron, it's not great, is it? And then you've got Brian, who was Rory's dad. It was a turn, really. It was a comic performance. There were a few little creases to that which I did enjoy, because the actor We've seen him in countless films and TV shows over the years. He's a fun actor, does that sort of stuff really, really well. But because he's such a good actor, he brought a little more weight to it, but it was comic relief. And then, of course, there was Clive, Martha's dad, who was an absent dad who'd abandoned his family for another woman. There's no way of glossing that up. It was an amusing character, and he did sort of have an arc of sorts, but he was a bit of a bad lad. And then, of course, there was Pete, who may have had his heart in the right place, but was portrayed as ineffectual and selfish and impulsive and
a bit
disloyal.
of a con man from my memory, a bit of a Del boy.
Yeah. Actually, I think the best father figure that we've ever had in New Doctor Who was probably the War Doctor. He was absolutely presented as the returning father figure. He was a granddad. That's different. I think being a granddad is different. I think Wilf was like Santa.
The world's granddad, yeah.
Yeah. But I feel that the War Doctor was presented almost as if he was the younger doctors, the younger, older doctors' absent parent who'd returned to say, okay, what's all this noise about? What have you two been up to while I've been away? And that was clever, and it was nicely written and well observed. But again, it was just for one episode. And of course, him being the Doctor, was all sorts of other things in the mix as well. So of course it doesn't count. I know it doesn't count. So this is a balance I'd like to see redressed. You can't expect miracles in 5 weeks, David, but it's a good actor by the looks of things. So
absolutely. And miracles, they can happen overnight or they can happen in 5 weeks. And I've had a message from a friend of mine who has decided to remain anonymous, but criticized me for being an old fart and saying, come on, Milling, you really love Britney Spears and you secretly love those costume changes. So I'll go, I'll crumble. All right, yeah, I love it. Yeah, whatever.
We win.
The thing is, as long as for when they meet Belinda's dad, they can just sort of slide into the costume room to "Oops, I Did It Again," and he's there outside the TARDIS singing. I don't know. I am the one and only. I don't know. I'll be there, and that'll convince me that I'm watching a brilliant series. So,
what do we think?
And that will be my miracle.
What do you think he will make of this bloke that she's taken up with? That's the thing, isn't it?
Horses for courses. I think there's someone out there for everyone, and I'm sure they will get along. I'm sure they will get along absolutely fine, and he will be like any dad would be with their son or daughter when they bring home what could appear to be a respective partner. They will be very, very polite, and then pull them to one side and just go, "Are you absolutely sure?
Are you sure, darling?" He seems a bit
sure. Okay. Do I need to talk to you about something or anything? And but I'm sure Belinda's dad will be very supportive because obviously he loves his daughter, and that's all you need to be.
Time will tell. Yes. So bring back the dads. A bit of dadism wouldn't go amiss in Doctor Who. Sort the Doctor out, sort Belinda out. Who knows? Maybe this new character may well pick up some slack there. Let us know what you think, and have you seen this actor in anything else? So this is Archie Lal, who's joining the cast of Doctor Who there as Belinda's dad, and I don't know where we'll see him, which episode, or for how long. But that's the latest there on the casting when it comes to Doctor Who. Okay, so another one for the dads. Coming up. No, it's not Leela. Another one we're coming up. It's the Type 40 Live. It's the Type 40 Live Doctor Who ad break.
Yeah, best thing is though, that's what my stepdad said. He was like, "Oh, who's that companion that I really love?" I went, "Leela." Yes, I do. I was like, "Oh, for God's sake."
Well, no Leela this time, but there is one particular golden face from the same period and unmistakable voice from Doctor Who's history here. He's going to take over for a couple of minutes. Was TV really so much better in the golden era when a certain comedy duo, for example, was pulling in over 20 plus million viewers, and sitcoms were funny, believe it or not? Comedy was a thing. Over to the Doctor Who with a reminder of how things used to be. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Yes, of course, madam. This is a news flash. Can anybody identify the following faces?
If his kit bag's full of wrinkles, he's an A-bone man. If he reeks of rum and winkles, he's an A-bone man. If he hums a little ditty and he tells you that you're pretty, you can bet your Bristol City he's an A-bone man.
The wonderful thing about baking a cake, it's like waiting for a birth. You put something in, you wait, you worry, and something wonderful comes out.
I said, do you mind if we go over and see Mother on Sunday?
Well, come on, son. I take it you can remember your own name.
Jenkins, sir.
Can't hear you, son. Get some air into your lungs.
Jenkins, sir.
Baking leftovers is hardly a sign of affluence.
You mean that shepherd's pie?
The rustic pot roast.
It was for the chickens.
And they didn't like it.
Sorry, Grayson. You call me school bully. You miserable little tick.
It's a bit of a snag, because it's very difficult to talk properly with these in your mouth.
Very good. The BBC would like to congratulate you on your good taste. Obviously, you know what you like. Video tasties from the BBC and from any video shop, even the one around the corner. Well, don't just sit there. Enjoy yourselves. There's plenty more where these came from.
When he says the video shop around the corner, why does he say it like that? What have they got in? Was it that kind of video shop with the silver curtain? Welcome back to your Type 40 Live on Rumble X, YouTube, and on Facebook, covering the future, the present, and the past of all things Doctor Who, having a proper hoo-ha as ever. They've caught up with him, as you can see there in a publicity picture for that fabulous Video Tasties campaign from all the way back in 1985, 86-ish, I think it was. Tom, they've got him at the pub, I think, by the scruff of his neck. How am I managing with the panel, though? Are they all back? Let's see. So who have we got? There we are. We've got Charlotte next to me there. We've got Luke, who's had a quick change. Have you been in and out of that door in the TARDIS, mate? Have you been, did you play Britney Spears?
I do. Yes, I did. Toxic is Toxic's there. Toxic is there. I had patiently waited ready because my flat is absolutely freezing. So it's there ready for when it comes on. So I'm nice and cozy now. And also koalas. Koalas are great. There's also other Oodies out there, not just Oodies. So all good retailers stock them. Not now, it's summer, apparently. So it's getting quite hot. So ignore me.
Next, I get the impression on the next show you appear on, you're going to have like the snooker players have now, with patches sewn onto their various waistcoats and shirts and things. Who's sponsoring you, like energy drinks, onesie companies, and fleece?
This is Tyson Fury's one, because I used to work for Tyson, didn't I? So Jesus Christ, I worked for Tyson. So I did his last campaigns for him, and the rebrand of his energy drink of him pretending to be like a cowboy paintballer. So that was all me, yeah. So I've done a lot of stuff for Tyson recently, up until last December. So yeah.
Wow, and now you're here with us.
Yes.
You're pushing your luck, mate. You're pushing it.
A lot better company.
We're back, and so are they. The Type 40 Live ad break there with Tom Baker, the BBC Golden Years, suggests Stephen Braddock. Love Grayson, the school bully. I thought you said love. I thought it was Larry Grayson. I don't know what you're talking about, Rob, but yeah. Sonny Waffles is still moaning about Belinda. I'm sensing that Sonny Waffles doesn't like Belinda very much. She doesn't really exist, mate. She's a fictional character.
That's how you really feel, yeah.
I love The Good Life, and I binged it too, says Rob Alley. I've just done a rewatch of The Good Life for its 50th anniversary. Still a wonderfully written show, and people are quoting The Good Life as well too. That's great to see. Belinda's a nurse, reminds us Dalek Lives Matter. Oh, I've noticed, mate. I've noticed. And we've got Fly Highland here, who's reeling from the latest revelation of Luke trained Tyson Fury.
Hey, if I trained him, he would have beat Usyk in December. Trust me, he would have won. Actually, no, that's a lie. They're great. They're great. I've got a really weird video on my phone. Every time Tyson saw me, he tried to do my accent, and he just could never do it ever. So I've just got loads of videos of Tyson just trying to do my voice to me. And
is it okay that, you know, like you guys didn't know who Tapau were earlier on? I've no idea who Tyson Fury is. Not the faintest idea.
Really?
He was the
to me,
the world champion boxer.
Oh, okay. Because to me, the name, he sounds like a Transformer. Mates with Optimus Prime.
Understandable,
okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
even I know who Tyson Fury is.
Okay, so time flies. Time flies, everybody. Like my lifetime. Time flies as we head towards the halfway mark in the current season. What's been on my mind is whether the time is passing slower for Russell T Davies and everybody involved in making this show. Because although at the weekend there was a bit of a respite, so much of the conversation surrounding Doctor Who isn't actually the show itself, in all fairness. It's the way that it's reaching its audience. Who, how many of us, and when, whether it's on BBC iPlayer or Disney Plus or BBC One. The game was changed last year, which upset a lot of people. Premiering the series, when was it? Midnight. The equivalent of UK midnight the day before was a real slap in the face. If not for the dedicated audience, but absolutely for the Doctor Who fans who really did feel that. They've redressed the balance a little bit for season 2. But obviously, we live in an environment that is changing and it's shifting around us in the broadcasting world. All eyes in the Doctor Who fandom are, whether it's fair or not, on the way the show is received. I think that's perfectly natural when you can see that the show isn't going down as well as it should be, and when it's clear that a lot of people are choosing to tune out. You know, on the last sort of ratings segment we did, David, you know, the figures. I asked you a simple question, didn't I? Are things as bad as they seem? You know, your answer in return was just as simple, and it was a clear no. What we need to know is how many people are actually watching. That's always the most important figure. There is no more a market for TV that no one watches than there is for food that no one eats. I say this all the time, but I do wonder about the fan base in this respect, because obviously we are sort of trapped in a circle, aren't we? Yeah, me too. Of sort of circular arguments that we have been for decades now, some of us, but certainly over the last 10 years or so, with increasing sort of regularity, and it kind of speeds up. They're not going to go away. It would be silly to imagine that they would be able to just disappear. I don't think any fact or stat would make that happen, positive or negative, and they're certainly not going to be resolved here. That being said, these conversations they're not the whole story, but they are important. They're significant markers of where we are at. And when the series, its future is precarious, the people that are involved or are not involved, obviously there's a lot more tension out there than there has been, certainly probably since you've ever been watching, Charlotte.
Yeah, I think we're sort of like we've all said this, we're more focused on the ratings, because at one point they were such a prideful thing for this show. At one point, they were a thing that we could hold up and say, look, our show's getting 10 million. Do you know, like, so if you want to use them when they're good, you can't then suddenly be quiet and not want to talk about them when they go the other way. You have to do it for both.
How about you, Shah? I mean, because, you know, we talk about ratings on this show, and sometimes, you know, you say, oh, do we really have to go there? But it is the conversation that won't go away.
The things just come up just to big capital letters. Your mic is muted. I know. Sorry. What was I going to say? Yeah, no, I agree with Charlotte. You do. If you're going to type it up, then I suppose you're going to, but you're going to be silent. You're going to be a bit more. I don't know. I was gloating. I'm sorry to bring it up again, Luke and David. I'm sorry, but the only thing that we have in Leicester is when we won the Premier League. We were. When was the last time? When we won the Premier League, we were shouting.
It's like you're talking a foreign language. What?
Yeah, okay, but it was a good thing. It was a good thing. It was never more. Basically, there was more odds that Elvis was going to be seen alive again. So when we won that, we were gloating. Now that we're back down, no one's talking about how good the football is. So it's kind of the same thing, in my opinion. That when it's high, you will talk about it all day long, but when you're on a low, you won't want to talk about it at all. It bores the life out of me, if I'm being perfectly honest. However, I do understand why people talk about it. I do think it matters, but I don't know enough about it to be able to talk about it like I know what I'm saying, if that makes any sense. So I won't.
Yeah. I mean, the simple fact of the matter is, I suppose, and we don't believe in over-egging this, because there is more to Doctor Who than how many people are watching it. It's significant, of course it is, but this show is about Doctor Who. It's not about Doctor Who ratings. This is why we revisit it at regular junctions rather than obsess over it, because it's nothing that any of us can change. But there's no getting around the fact that Doctor Who in 2025 is pulling in its lowest ever overnight viewing figures. And as much as the landscape is changing, and again, the circular arguments and the unavoidable points about the fact that it's not 2005 anymore, never mind 1985 or 1975, this is not a pretty picture. And look for the silver lining to clouds. I think it's natural. I'd rather be like that than any other way. But the fact is, it's simply not going down that well at all. And David, when we last spoke, you came armed with facts and shares and figures and all these kinds of things. And you explained it so beautifully. Now we've a few more statistics as well. So I thought we'd have a bit of a catch up, and you could sort of explain what else we should bring into the equation, because it's one thing to have sort of flashy artwork and all the rest of it, but the proof of the pudding is in the eating, or in this case, the watching. And the first week, the Robot Revolution, 2 million for a comeback episode. Even in the consolidated figure with the +7 figure in the equation there, it only knocked it up to a 3.5. So it's a healthy addition. It's, I suppose you could argue it's nearly double, but it's still not a particularly impressive figure. We've recently, just today, just before we went live, the consolidated figure was published for Lux. That takes that up to 3 million, which a lot of people are going to be a bit more relieved about, because obviously the Lux figure was the one that was mass reported everywhere as being Doctor Who's latest all-time low, and that 1.58 million for the overnight for Lux was unimaginably low to, I think, any Doctor Who fan, whether you're a child of the new series or of the classic series. It's a stark figure. But again, it's sort of a relief, I suppose, to see click up to the 3 mark, but it's only just hit the 3 mark. There's clearly a lot of people who were there for week 1, weren't there for week 2. So that's not great either. Fortunes have taken a slight uptick, I suppose, this weekend with the Welsh. That's gone up to 1.86 million. Being reported as generally a very positive thing. And again, we don't want to piss on anybody's chips, but if somebody would have shown us this 1.86 million figure this time last year, I think we'd have been rubbing our eyes and just thinking, how low? I'd say we can't afford to be complacent. I think we're way past that with these figures, aren't we? I mean, what I'm getting at is this is looking progressively worse. David, have you got anything you can bring into the equation that can sort of sweeten this a little? Are the other statistics kind of making up for this? And what else have you spotted?
I can sweeten it because, as Shakira say, the stats don't lie. Sorry, I thought as we're doing music, I might as well carry along that theme. The consolidated figure for the Robot Revolution was the highest amount of catch-up views since Spyfall episode 1 5 years ago, which received 2 million views on iPlayer. So that left me cheered. Look, what also leaves me somewhat cheered is the fact that BBC One is doing absolutely shite on Saturdays, generally, and is being beaten hands down by ITV, and that's across the board. On the
Gladiators has been a hit for Gladiators has been a hit for BBC One on Saturdays, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But I believe that finished just as Doctor Who was starting.
It did, and it's all gone to ITV, and they've obviously got the BGT live showings now. They've got the very funny, very simple, very family friendly 99 to Beat, which is hilarious. Obviously, it's so funny. We're just watching people who can be the furthest to pop a champagne cork. It's a bit like Squid Games, but funny. But it's very amusing. Then they've got the 1% Club. So it looks like ITV have hit upon that winning Saturday night formula. And then obviously with BGT thrown in the middle there. What you will notice about BBC One, though, is that what worries me significantly is the percentage audience share. And I know we were the first, your channel, Dan, was the first channel to break this, and seems that everybody's become obsessed with it since I happened to stumble upon that statistic in a freakish manner, that the audience share is low. The first overnight was 17.4%. That's fewer than 1 in 5 people are watching. The second overnight figure was down to really 1 in 7 at 13.4%. There was a slight uptick, not massive boom, as one Radio Times article put it. I mean, it said a massive leap. Well, that's about as big as a massive leap as you would get if you were parachuting, your parachute failed, and you did an anxious fart to try and propel you back up in the air. That's about as big a leap as that would be. 1.86 million translated to I believe it was 15.3. Yeah, 15.3%. Now, which is 1 in 6. So even in Jodie's worst time, even in Shooty's first season, you were sometimes getting 1 in 3, 1 in 4 people watching. The outlier is Rogue, which was just 0.2% below 1 in 5. But generally, that would be a good indicator as to how many people or how many households were watching. Another point with a low overnight, and this is the best way I can explain it, is imagine you're in a 2-legged relay race and you turn up and you're running the second leg. You're good, you're fit, you're well, you're a decent athlete. And then you turn around and you find that the first person that you're running against is old fatty with an asthma condition and with 2 inhalers doing the first leg. Now, that person won't get very far and won't get there very fast. So it means that this is about the argument about more people watching on catch up. That's not the case. That is still not the case. So this is why overnights are important. Overnights are important because it means if you run that first leg well and get a decent time or a decent score at the end of that first leg, it means that the person running the second lap, i.e. the consolidation, doesn't have to severely outperform your first leg's performance. It's a simple thing. With a better overnight rating, your consolidation figures don't have to work as hard to get you up to a decent place. The ideal situation is like Spyfall. Part 1 is when you get 4.8988 million, and roughly, I think they were around the figures overnight, and then you get 2.01 million watching on catch up. So you look to catch up ratings between 50 and 80% of your initial ratings. So if you're getting good overnight, good audience share, word of mouth is greater, you get better consolidation figures, and you've got a more healthy product rather than something that could be a little bit sick, lame and lazy, if that makes sense. So to me, the ratings are of concern. If they didn't matter, then the BBC wouldn't pay money to Barb to have their figures monitored. It would just be about that. Historically, also, what you need to look at is the fact that you normally get higher audience shares if you're looking across the range, and I'm being very general. I've spent hours on Barb's website over the past few weeks, looking at all the incredulous ways that they record things, is that shows with a lower rating often get a higher audience share, but they're not in this occasion. So that's what leaves me a little bit worried. And it says to me that people just aren't watching. Now, if Lux, because all the positive, I know there was a little bit negativity about Lux, if about all the positivity that came out of Lux, if it had got better or around the same as the Robot Revolution, I would have been very pleased, because it would show that word of mouth is going round saying you really have to catch up with Doctor Who, you really have to watch it. It is fantastic. It's, oh my god, this episode was brilliant, and blah 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 blah. It decreased.
That's the way to power out of this downward spiral. That's the way to power out of it, isn't it? To not just want to have a strong episode and to build with good word of mouth over a repeated period of time. If enough people say something for over a greater period, then eventually the people who are maybe a bit more reluctant will say, oh, somebody else told me about that last week. Maybe I should take a look again. And then it builds and builds. Unfortunately, with a run of 8, you've not got the luxury of time, but the principle is still the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, you've got the counter arguments of people saying, oh, well, the weather's nice. Well, the weather was nice in 2005, in 2010. The weather was nice. It's always nice around this time of year. Well, people are watching on catch-up now. Well, no, they're not. You've got people who are making excuses rather than actually saying, why are they tuning out? Why are more people not watching it? What has happened to the program, which means that people aren't showing the same sort of interest as before? The ratings only tell part of a story. The audience share tells another part of the story. And then you'll have arguments saying, oh, well, ratings aren't important as they used to be, or people don't watch live TV anymore.
See, in my opinion, that's the problem with the argument surrounding this. Is it's people who hold really quite extreme, strident, unwavering, belligerent views about, on either side of the equation. You've got one camp of people saying that ratings overnights don't matter at all anymore, and you've got another bunch of people who insist that's all that matters and that nothing's changed. Whereas the truth is there's masses of grey areas in between that, and it isn't 1964 again. It's not 1974 again. It's not 1984 again. We are living in a completely different time, but we are living in a period of great transition at the moment. And it's happening at an increasing momentum, not just every 5 years, every year things are changing. It's not just that there's more choice, it's just that people's lifestyles are altering as well. Every generation too.
I hate to mention the COVID term, but I fully believe that the pandemic and people being in lockdowns accelerated the demise of live TV, because then people were hostage to fortune, having to stay indoors, and they were then having to entertain themselves. So then a lot of streaming services had an online boom with respect to subscribers, and then people realized that they had more choice and that they would have more power over their viewing than little old terrestrial. And I think there has been some thought that the advent it's one of the sort of symptoms of the pandemic, that it has increased the popularity of streaming services, or accelerated their popularity over linear television. But what you were saying, Dan, is very, very true. There are the people who think that ratings are the be all and end all. There are the people that think that ratings don't matter. It's somewhere in between. But what they are showing is that something is wrong. I do not want, I'll lay it bare for everybody. I want Doctor Who to be as cancelled as much as my beloved football club to go out as business. I don't want that to happen at all. I would be mortified. I would be beyond beside myself.
I think we all would, and many of the fandom, a higher percentage of the fandom would be than otherwise. I think most people still want the series to carry on, even if we've talked about what would be the best way forward. We've all got various ideas about that, but most people don't want to see this series die an undignified death, whereby nobody hears the tree fall.
Yeah, and I totally subscribe to that as well. And what I do think, though, is that the ratings, if used correctly and used calmly and used in an evidential way, along with the audience shares, should be used to have a very sober conversation with executives, writers, decision makers as to what has gone not to plan, what needs to change, and how they can make that change so the program gets more viewers.
Well,
And
we've heard the same lines. We've heard the same lines several times. Far, far, far too often, people spend far more time on their phones, for example, and that's true. But it's not the reason why they've buggered Doctor Who off, is it? No, it isn't. So the audience share is going down at the same time that the ratings are. Charlotte, the day after the figure for Lux was announced, it was a jaw-dropping figure of 1.58 million. Do you remember you messaged me and said, "Oh, how did you feel when you saw that figure?" And I was expecting it to go down on the Robot Revolution. I was, simply because taking the numbers out of the equation, simply because more people tend to watch a season opener and it always goes down. I hadn't expected it to tumble by 500,000 further. And whilst I do like the fact that it's gone up a bit, I mean, it's nothing to boast about, is it? I mean, what's your take? What's your take on this? And what do you think people are thinking and saying? Because it's made its way out to the media. The entire media is all over this, that Doctor Who is failing in this respect.
Oh, yeah. Well, I messaged you just because in my head, if I'm being honest, I thought there was going to be a big drop. Because in that opener, your opening episode is a lot of people who might be on the fence, who might go, well, I don't know if I'm going to watch the whole series. I'll just watch the first one. I think a lot of people think like that, fan and casual alike. And what the problem is now, there are certain elements of Russell's writing which have been dragging this show down. There has been certain characters that when they see them on screen, people turn off now. And the sad thing was, for the good bits there was in that opener, there was some of what I would say very virtue signalling type writing to make a point. And I think as soon as people saw that, they were like, do you know what? I've given it a go again. I've given it that opener. I'm gone. It's done the exact thing that he was doing last series, which put me off. But I think the bigger thing here, and that's what I'm seeing with the gradual drops, even if it gains a bit, like David said, it's losing on the consolidated, it's losing on the audience share, is that, and I've seen this more this series, that people are not just watching this because it's Doctor Who anymore. People are waiting. People are waiting to hear what's in these episodes. And that I've not seen so strongly ever, really, if I'm being honest. That people are going, no, I'm going to wait to see what other people say and then I'll watch it. So that's why you're overnighting.
I hate to say it. I think some of it is because Doctor Who is becoming, even though I'd say arguably this series is better than the last and being received better than the last for the most part, it's because Doctor Who has taken on an aspect of being car crash TV, partly by virtue of the fact that it's the most woke and politically correct show on TV, as branded by newspapers and things like that. We're not, and perfectly justifiably too. This is a hole that they've dug for themselves, I feel, where so many of them, and indeed us, are against them and against it, and incensed. Really, it's a terrible place for the series to find itself in culturally, if not creatively.
But here's the problem. The people that usually are your mainstays, your core, that even if I don't like a bit of Doctor Who, or even if I might not love a story one week, I'm going to come back next week. That's your core audience. That's sort of your base rock, your baseline, your rock sort of bit of your audience. That is dying. And we're seeing it happen episode by episode, that the people who are usually a bit more forgiving in this as fans, and I'm talking fans because I'm not talking casuals, they won't care about this stuff as much.
Let's go and find something else to watch.
Yeah, they'll go, oh, it doesn't look that good in the trailer, I'll watch something else that week. But the people who usually go, do you know what, no, I'm gonna watch it every week because it's Doctor Who, because I love this show, I'm a fan. When you're even making them second guess and have to wait to see what's in the episode by other people's reviews, that's how a show dies, because that part of your audience should be the ones you can rely on. It should be the audience that you're going to get week in, week out.
Because Charlotte, lots of us, myself, Simon Horton, Simon more than me, because he didn't enjoy personally a great deal of the Naughty Show wasn't to his taste, but lots of us out here in the fandom, generally we recognized that the series was of quality, and even if it didn't, there were little things about it that we didn't like, or sometimes entire runs that we didn't appreciate so much, we would still cheerlead for it, because we still could see that it was a quality product, that's heart was in the right place, and that the British public were falling in love with, or we've tried to rally it in instances, for example, when there were gap years, done our bit to make sure that it sort of remained in the public eye as best as we could, to fill out, if it was just filling our social media profiles with stuff to remind people that it was still there. But they've broken that. They've kind of broken that that relationship, that bond for so many of us. And although that doesn't affect the ratings as such, it does affect the attitude, the mindset, and the hearts,
I would argue, no, it does, because we're seeing it right now in the ratings. This is the after effect of you're breaking that bond. You're breaking that sort of a link with your core fans. And then, like I said, they're not the ones who are going to cheerlead you anymore. They're not the ones that are going to do live streams and reviews of your episode, so people will watch that and go, actually, no, that sounds good, I'll watch it this week. And the other problem is they've had a really good episode on Saturday. We've all said this, it was so good to enjoy Doctor Who again. They need to keep this consistency now. They cannot have a really good episode and it looks like next week, because it's Pete McTeague, it looks interesting, the concept, it looks like we're getting spooky again, which seems to be working right now. That might be all right as well, I don't know. But then, are you going to get home runs every single episode after that? When you've got a Your Vision episode coming up?
It's doubtful. And I noticed that people look to the future. They're looking to the series metrics with almost as much sort of anticipation and appetite, and savouring the reveal of the overnight figures almost as much as they are the episodes themselves. Like Woodhouse is saying, I think the next episode will get less. I get a lot of this. Thank you for your comments, Woodhouse122. But people make a lot of these comments, sort of, I think it's going to go lower. Some people say, I hope it's going to go lower. I was thinking it's going to go higher. I expect it to sort of hover between the 1.7 million figure and around the 2.2, and sort of blip and blop a little like that throughout the 8 weeks. It has gone down on my estimations. But a great many people are sort of projecting what they believe the landscape is going to look like in regard to the ratings through the lifespan of this season, Luke, as if they have got money on it, as if trying to study some sort of form or something. And all this is going on. And you could say it's harmless, it's a bit of fun. And in some respects, it is what fans have always done, or a new upgrade thereof. But realistically, these shouldn't be the conversations that endure when, particularly in a week where we've had a high quality piece of Doctor Who delivered, just when was that, 48 hours ago, as of time of recording here. I mean, what's your perspective of this? I mean, David's covered it again beautifully there and summed it all up, but what's your perspective now a few weeks in? And when you see these figures released, I mean, are you quite pragmatic about it? You just sort of shrug it off? Or is it part of an evolving landscape that's not going to slow down anytime soon?
To be honest, about the ratings, I don't care personally. Like, as long as I'm getting some enjoyment out of it, I am. And I'm great, fantastic. I'm a fan through and through. I'm a fan. Like, Jesus Christ, I got my own web series based on Doctor Who.
Wouldn't it be nice if more people were talking about it positively, though? More people were. I think your friends from past jobs or school were ringing you or texting you saying, "Oh, it was brilliant tonight," or wouldn't that be nice?
It would, but I didn't have that growing up anyway. Like, realistically, it was just me in school. When I was in school growing up, it was like I could probably name on one hand how many people that I knew in my year that watched Doctor Who, and we all used to get together and watch it. And then we used to make our own Doctor Who fan films. There were literally about 3, maybe 4 of us at a push. Like, it wasn't as big in the South Wales setting. Sorry, I know David's going to be like, "It's the Welsh's fault." We made it. We
not
made
at
it.
All. Not at all.
We made it. We'll kill it off. RTD for the win. Oh God, that's going to get some. Jesus Christ.
Oh God, get that hashtag.
We're going to get used against you.
Yeah,
big time in the court of law.
I'm of the thing. Look, Doctor Who's a damaged brand. You look at the overnights for like the Star Beast, was it north of 5 million, and then Wild Blue Yonder, and that got a lot of traction because David Tennant's back, and I think the Giggle did well, and Wild Blue Yonder were around about 4.6, 4.8 million. You definitely can't tell. I was just been googling this, but I think it's a bit of a damaged brand. I think it needs. The Disney experiment didn't work, which is evident. Apparently they don't want it anymore. Amazon is waiting in the wings to try and snap it up for like cost price, essentially, from the rumors is. I say at this point, I think if you don't want to worry about ratings for Doctor Who anymore, just put it on streaming full time. Put it on streaming full time. Then you won't have it'll do like
go all in with the streaming model.
Yeah, I think we go all in with it. If you look at like 8 episodes series, for example, you look at like the likes of like Andor, for example. No, sorry, episodes, but Andor, The Boys, like they're quality TV and they tell quality stories. They get loads of views, loads of press, everything. It's like, why isn't, I know Doctor Who's, they appeal, well, apart from Andor is Star Wars, so it's going to appeal to everyone. But if why did you just go that one route? Let's see what's working out in current television. Okay, terrestrial TV is dying. The BBC's taken a massive hit recently in terms of ratings. We know BGT is doing well. It's beating Doctor Who. BGT is doing what, 5.5 million? I think I saw. Which again, it's not
wonderful.
No, it's not great. It's not like pulling a Gavin and Stacey like 19 million or Wallace and Gromit, which is like 21 million. It's not pulling that. I think people just don't care. And in a couple of years' time, 2 or 3 years' time, you're going to see like your daytime TVs starting to go. Grand Designs is going to go, for example. All these like shows are going to decline because everyone's just slowly moving. And I think ratings do matter. But I think in a world where I woke up and I put it on and I watched it. All the boys watched it before me. I think sometimes I watched it on the train when I go in there. I listen to podcasts. I think us now, we consume media so different since COVID as well. Since COVID, and I think it needs a rest. I think it needs not a long rest, but not like 18 months like it was from Power of the Doctor to Star Beast, because that's not a reboot or a refresh like it was from classic to new, where it did come back and you were excited and you're like, oh, what are they going to do? You kind of already knew because you saw Dave Tennant the last one anyway. So it's like, well, we kind of know what we're already kind of getting into. And then when you pivot and go to Shooty and you do the bi-generation thing, and that alienated a lot of fans. Season 1 was very well received. I think
it's incrementally that people have been sort of maybe pushed away or eased away, made to distance from this show, that the British public. I think that the 60th anniversary specials, you said the Star Beast, Wild Blue Yonder, and the Giggle all did really well, and it was only 18 months ago. They did, by any account, they did really well. And the fact that Joy to the World also did pretty well on Christmas Just Gone, to me, those are indicators of further indicators of what I've always said is true. The general public really want to watch Doctor Who. They're very, very fond of it from their childhood, or whether it was 20 years ago, 40 years ago, or 60 years ago, and they really want to watch it. But when they keep giving them reasons not to, they're more than happy to go and find something else to watch or to do entirely, because that's life, and people's spare time is precious to them. I mean, David, to come back to you on this, we're not quite at the halfway mark yet, and obviously speculation will continue. I don't expect that the shape of the landscape to change dramatically in any way or another. I mean, but what are you, as somebody who's genuinely interested in this stuff and who tracks it, who's got a head for statistics, what will you be looking for as any kind of idea of a strengthening of the show between now and the end of the season? Is it even possible? What should we be looking at first and foremost? Should we be hanging on those overnight figures, or is that just a bit of fun like being at the bingo and we really should be looking elsewhere and maybe taking a few steps back? What's your closing thought on it?
My closing thought is it's like Jerry Springer, this, isn't it? Final thought. My sort of thing is that right. I would like to see the consolidated figure increase with respect to the number of views on catch up. Not essentially the end figure increase, but if that increases or stays remotely the same around the average, Shooties normally get anywhere between 1.2, 1.4. If as long as it stays around that, then that's okay. I would expect a Crystal Palace Man City FA Cup final, particularly if it is a nail biter, to have a really good lead in to the Eurovision episode. I would also imagine that some Eurovision fans will hear that there's a Doctor Who Eurovision episode before Eurovision, and they may have it on at the Eurovision.
Yeah, they'll probably get more.
parties.
I would imagine they'll extend the Eurovision parties, like the people who have watched parties for Eurovision, and just get more drinking, which I know only equates for a certain number of people and probably of particular demographics. But for the people who enjoy that kind of thing, it's not to my taste at all. Let's see how it goes for them. I don't know.
I would hope that for the rest of the series, the consolidation is between 2.5 to 3.5 for the rest of the series, maybe even going a little bit higher in some episodes, such as the Eurovision episode. Maybe for the end of the series, hopefully. We've got the variables of the... I'm sorry, everybody. We've got the variables of the weather. We've got the variables of 2 bank holiday weekends involved.
For people outside of Britain, David, they scoff when, and yet we all do it, when someone such as Russell T Davies says, "Oh, well, not so many people watched that because the weather was nice and the cricket was on and all that kind of thing." But people overseas may not and I don't think that's any kind of excuse. People did. I remember in 2006 it was World Cup year, and people were watching it in the beer garden.
Yeah,
because it was so popular, nobody wanted to miss it. So, but it does affect viewers, and I think that even at the height of Doctor Who's popularity, then it was affecting viewers then. But because the series was generally speaking watched by far more people, then it didn't stand out quite so much. Now the situation it's in, It does stand out, and we are heading towards that period of the year where we've got Wimbledon, we've got football, we've got Eurovision, and there are lots of things like that dotted around the British TV schedules that are very much driven by the summer months. And when the weather does get nicer, and I'm not using this as an excuse because realistically this is a shit figure anyway, but I'm willing to concede that probably the drop between the Robot Revolution and Lux, which has now gone up. I think the difference between Lux and the Well, that sort of, however, that 0.3, whatever it is, just under 0.3 of a million.
0.28, yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if that 0.28 wouldn't have been the people who were in the beer, proportionately in the beer garden, because in all sincerity, that was a really lovely day. And in Britain, we have so few lovely days. You know, now that we can TiVo and Sky Plus this stuff, why stay in? You know, surely that's part of the convenience of it. So there is truth to some of this. But of course, it doesn't make up for the fact that this is a world-class event series that's very expensive, that can't pull in figures that beat a game show or Songs of Praise. It is absolutely a concern, and that's not to dismiss that anyway.
I can tell you that in 2006, when the World Cup was on, I was at work on a late shift when Doomsday was shown, and about a third of the office wanted to watch the football, and 2/3 of the office wanted to find out what happened to Rose. So everybody, and I was in that 2/3, and we watched Doctor Who on a knackered old television set, and even had to have somebody stood there with the aerial not moving, so we got to see what was going on.
That's brilliant.
But that's when the show was new and good and popular, and it had great stories, and there were wonderful characters. And I just think Doctor Who is like Death in Paradise, is like EastEnders, is like Britain's Got Talent. It's in the entertainment business. It's like Cardiff City, Leicester City, Lincoln City, Man United, Wolverhampton Wanderers. It's if what you are serving up is meh, then people are going to vote with their feet. And you're not going to get the casual people going, oh, fantastic. And you'll get people who are season ticket holders will go, oh, last week was absolutely crap, wasn't it? We're not going again this week. Or, purr. And then what happens is that you get a situation whereby your team could be relegated, and the next game, like has happened this week, they end up winning 7-0, and you think, oh, why couldn't you do that the week before, or the week before that, or the week before that? And you are not. You need to keep people engaged, and what we are seeing with the fluctuation and the general downward curve of the ratings is that it is not engaging people to keep watching. And as Charlotte mentioned in what she said excellently a few moments ago, your core fans are drifting away. And that, for me, I don't know the breakup of these percentages for the audience share, but it does say to me, if you've lost 5 or 6%, maybe sometimes even 10% from the previous season, that says to me that your core has walked away. And when your core fan base starts to walk away and say no more, fortunately we brought somebody else back from the core in Shah, and she's fully engaged again, which is lovely and wonderful and should be shouted from the rooftops and celebrated, and we should have parades and open top bus tours and everything.
Oh, love that. Yeah, come on then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Going.
Streamers and party, yeah, absolutely. Flares and you name
Josh
it.
Haight says here it's driving away viewers, whether by accident
Totally
or on
right.
purpose. And we've got we've got a variety of opinions here in the live chat. Thank you everybody for the comments. No draconians, no true Whoniverse, says Lee Smith. So chomping at the bit for that. And lots of people, yes, with ideas about who should replace Russell T Davies. all that kind of thing. Stephen says there's a potential audience out there just waiting to come back when Doctor Who is as they knew it again. It's that simple in many respects.
I agree. Can I just say, and I've brought it up, I think I even put it on Twitter, I was that happy that my stepdad, who literally walked out of the room during the Devil's Cord saying this is utter shit, did text me because he'd watched a couple of, I was at the pub at the time, it's not relevant, and he just put Doctor Who, fucking brilliant, back to the good old days. And I think that says it all for me. If you've got someone there saying
45 minutes of quality TV is what it took to reach one gentleman who was disenfranchised with it. That's all. So could season 2 rally after a few days worth of good word of mouth and a second week of the same would absolutely help. The season continues with a lucky day this coming weekend. We'll be previewing that on the next edition of the show. As always, we persist in covering all new Doctor Who, for better or for worse, and taking your comments as always as we work our way through the 8 episodes. It'll be over before we know it. But yeah, what do you think of it all? How shocked were you by those ratings? And are you contributing to the problem? How do you watch Doctor Who? Because none of us here watch it live on the night on BBC One, but the majority of people actually do. Even now, the margin's getting slimmer, but they do even now. So that has to be acknowledged too. Let us know your story, your habits. Keep it clean. And we'll get back to you in the comments section as well.
The universe is in peril. We've got about 24 hours until it completely is destroyed. The only way you can help me save it is by watching Type 40, a Doctor Who podcast. I'll see you there.
Oh, how did that happen?
That's good.
when you're least
now I've got my
expecting
glasses on.
Who knows what could happen next? Luke, heaven knows what's going to happen to you in the next few days because you're off, aren't you, with Cinescope? Off to Ireland, are you not, in a few days' time?
Yes, I'm going to drown myself in Guinness and fish. That's my plan. Guinness.
In that order.
In an order that would
I don't think
surprise
about
you.
what order.
I want to see photos of this, please.
So
we're
for the
doing
people
that
who- for the people who don't know, for the people who don't know, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this?
Oh, I have no idea. Yes, Guinness and Fish. I don't know why I do it to myself, Dan. I really don't know. I ask myself this every day. Basically, so we've got this web series, Hooligans. We are taking it on tour to Ireland. It is a special feature film version that's been edited, new scenes, new music, new cuts, and is premiering over in sunny Portmagee, which is the land of Acto, which some of you may know from the very well-renowned and fan-loved Last Jedi, Star Wars Episode 8, which went down really well with fans. We are taking it over to Skywalker Island. And where we're going in Ireland is like €4 a pint of Guinness. It's fantastic. It's proper deep South Island, so it's great. Yeah, we're taking over. We're nominated for best feature film somehow, best actor for Brandon, best actress for Elizabeth, best screenplay for myself and Jamie, and we're taking the time machine over as well, which means we're taking the War Doctor himself, Jonathan Carley, with us, which. We're going to do a vlog. He's going to hate me because I'll just keep prodding him with my War of the Worlds pen, making him do doctor voices all the time. That's up for best international short film, and James Dorman is up for best actor. So we're off. We're off, and 7 of us are going. 7 of us are going. So it's going to be a mad old weekend. Can't wait. So yeah, hopefully
It's
we'll
gonna
come
get
back with a couple of trophies.
messy.
It's going to get messy.
Yeah, hopefully.
Well,
I booked it wrong. I booked our Airbnb wrong. I was supposed to do it right. I thought the Airbnb was right next to the event center because it said it was 5 minutes away. Technically, it is via ferry. So
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So yeah,
Well,
I made a
our
right off of it.
Our best of luck for the weekend here. Everybody at Type 40 Live here on the panels across the shows and slots, and people in the live chat as well. Wish you the very best of luck for the weekend. We hope you come back with whatever you want.
Well, we
really.
hope you come back. You know,
Whether it's something to dust,
them fish and Guinness.
whether it's something to dust or just a really long hangover.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm so busy, mate. I'm missing the finale. I'm in Brussels for the finale, so I'm missing loads of Doctor Who coming up. So yeah, but
we won't spoil it. We won't spoil it for you, mate. We won't spoil it for you. But yes, thank you to everybody who's commented on this one. And if you want to carry it on, you can reach out to us through our social media, Instagram and X at Type 40 Doctor Who. Join us in the Type 40 Facebook group as well, plastered with review threads of each episode as it drops for that new season, as well as us running through the ratings and every other recycled argument you could possibly imagine from the last 60-odd years worth of Doctor Who. It's absolute heaven. Go and get stuck in. Start your own argument by all means. And yeah, join the community there on Facebook. Get involved with Type 40, the podcast, and the live stream through the wonders of Speak Pipe. So yeah, you can record us a message, a suggestion, a review, a prediction, any kind of feedback whatsoever. Do that through SpeakPipe, and yeah, we'll get right back to you. Oh, what next? The party never ends as Doctor Who Season 2 continues. So yeah, join us again for more hot takes, cold shoulders, pet peeves, bouquets, and pot shots on the next Type 40 Live coming up soon. There's how many's left? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we've got still quite a few left. Charlotte, we're hanging on in there. Hey.
We're back. We're halfway there after Saturday.
Near enough. David, great to have you back, mate, and thank you for putting that together for us and for putting it into context for us. I can barely speak. I'm that excited.
It's a pleasure, and thank you to all in the chat who remembered Carol Decker and T'Pau.
Who are they?
It wasn't just us.
No idea. No idea.
Now. That's it. That's good news. That's good news to finish on, I think, Luke. Luke, again, best of luck at the weekend. Thanks for your company, as always. We hope you make it through, okay, and in one piece. And yeah, welcome back, Shah. It's great to have you back, even if it's just for one night only, every now and again. Yeah, absolute gold. As always. And where can people find you if they want to follow you on? So you've been off and on social media, though, haven't you? But people can find you on X. You still got stuff going on somewhere?
Yeah. I'm back. I'm raring to go actually after the past week or so. So I'm back on X at Shah Rambles. I'm also on Instagram at Shah Rambles. I don't post that very often, but I'm getting to it now. I've been chatting with a few fans and getting back into doing a bit of voice work, which has been really exciting. So currently gearing up for a very exciting character. I can't wait. Under the name Rose Tyler. So I'll keep you posted. I'll keep you posted on that as well, just with what's going on. Just don't want to say too much right now because I might jinx it. But yeah, been really, really exciting, and just glad to be back. It feels like I never left with all my Type 40 family.
Yeah, you're very much an exciting character in your own right, don't you? Never doubt that for a single moment. But it's always great to reconnect, and I know people in the live chat will feel the same. So you're looking forward to the next time, Shah. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
So yes, that does wrap it up for another one. We're going to rattle around here. We'll probably put the Hoover around. There's plenty. We can get up a few of those, can't we? With the latest Dyson, go around all those.
Machine on that baby, yeah.
I've got a mini Dyson. I like it.
I've got a mini Dyson. They're sick.
Hey, mini Dyson buddies.
We're back as always with the Big Who from 8 p.m. Thursday UK time. My cheers to everybody in the comments and the panel too. Thanks for watching and listening as always. We always have the time if you have the space here at Type 40 Live. Back in a couple of days. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.